Shalom. We're in the middle of week 3, a little later than usual, but I wanted to introduce formally our topic of this week, which is relationship with me. Not relationship with me, but relationship with me as you would be me. That makes sense, right? So, what are we going to do here? I'll give the assignment later in the message as well, but the general idea is to think about who we are. Now, you may come to this thinking, oh, we think too much about ourselves anyway. People are always saying that, right? We're living in a time that's very selfish. Everyone is taking selfies and thinking about themselves and not thinking about others. But I want to push back on that a bit. It's not that we shouldn't think about others, and we've already done a few exercises to think about people other than us. But this whole idea that we think too much of ourselves, I actually think we don't think enough about ourselves. What we think about when we are, doing something that seems selfish is actually thinking about ourselves in relationship to how other people see us, how we want to fit in, how we want to present ourselves for the sake of others. That's where the selfies come in. That's where the talking about what I've accomplished or where I've gone on vacation. That's where this whole idea that, maybe in a deeper sense, I feel like I'm only thinking about myself. But am I really thinking about myself as myself? Someone who is its own person, my authentic self. And I would say that we do very little of that, and we would actually be better off doing less of the how do I fit in and more about who am I and what is it that I truly need in this world, and what is my relationship with those needs from myself. So that's the idea of the relationship with myself. There are different ways in which I project who I am. What's my relationship with them? The person that I want to be, the person that I fear that I am, the person that I feel other people expect. So how will we do this? Well, the first part of the assignment goes back to something I mentioned last week, and that is that each person, according to the Rebbe Simcha Bunim of Shisha, each person should have in their pocket one crumpled up piece of paper that says, Ani afar ve'efer, I am but dust and ashes, statement of extreme humility, and another paper that says, Bishvili nivra ha'olam, the world was created for me, a statement that might seem quite arrogant, but we'll see that humble and arrogant are really not the whole picture here. So when do you have that paper that says, I am but dust and ashes? Is it a time this year that you can think of when you were truly humble? Or perhaps it was a time this year when you feel like you were just close to the ground, knocked down, feeling like, nothing. Either one is a possible way of thinking about it. And what was a time when you thought the whole world was created for you? Is that as arrogant as it sounds, walking around thinking everything is created for you? Or was there a time of some gratitude where you felt everything has fallen into place and it's like, everything is there for me? What is the value of that? First, let's think about what was a time that you felt that way and what it could mean for your own sense of self and your sense of responsibility that comes from that relationship with yourself. The second part is just to think about a few of these characters I mentioned before. The character that you play when you are at your best. The character that you play when you are thinking about what you're afraid is your worst. And what maybe, as we mentioned before, a lot of our thinking is about how we expect ourselves to fit in. That's not the part of ourselves that we want to promote always, but it's still there. What is our relationship to that? So that's the second part of the assignment. And the last is really just a reflection on a statement that goes back to what I said before, that when we think about ourself, we are usually thinking about others' idea of us, or the internalization that we have of others' idea of us. So it comes from us, but it's not really about who we are. And this is a story that is told of a rabbi named Reb Zusha, who was known as being tremendously humble, and in a way that was just, not even working at being humble. He just would look at the world and feel, this is the world. Here I am, not having this sense of tremendous ego or wanting other people to see him in this great way. And of course, in that he became known as a great teacher. But when he was dying, he was asked, what are you afraid of? And he said, well, when I get to the heavenly hosts and they ask me why I wasn't more like Moses, I have no problem with that because I'm not Moses. But what if they ask me, why was I not more like Zusha? Then I have no answer. In other words, our greatest challenge is to be who we really are. I hope this gives you some things to think about as this week goes on. What is my relationship with myself? What is my responsibility to myself? And how can I think about it in order to truly focus on maybe the hardest tshuva at all, the sense of coming to your own self and saying, maybe I missed the mark here, and I want to get closer to who I feel I really should be, not in the eyes of someone else, but not even should be, but who I am, and how I can get closer to that, so that when they ask me, why were you not like yourself, you have an answer.